I'm Lon Helton, inviting you to join me as I count down the week's top 30 country hits with our co-host, Blake Shelton.
I have a song in the top 30 this week called She Wouldn't Be Gone, and it's from my new CD, Starting Fires. We'll also talk about a lot of my friends on the chart, including a little blonde girl we all know. So join us this week on CMT's Country Countdown USA.
CMT's Country Countdown USA.
It's time for this week's top 30. I'm Blake Shelton, and here's a few of my hits. Some beach, don't go loving on nobody but me. Wanna come home. I have a new CD that features this song. We'll play those songs and talk about my new album as I count down the hits with Lon Helton of Country Air Check. Right now, here's Lon with this week's hottest song.
Well, thanks, Blake, and our radio stations say the honor goes to Taylor Swift with Love Story. My co-host this week on Country Countdown USA is Blake Shelton, who has challenged us to come up with a new opening line, and I can't think of anything, so here's Blake Shelton.
How you doing,
there
man?
You go.
Because you say that each week I'm joined by top countries.
17 years we've been doing
and I've
it.
been coming here for 17 years, it feels like.
And you can do it yourself. So
Okay.
There, we did it a little differently for you.
Now, how about I do the intro?
Okay, you're on. Go.
Twice a year, I let Lon join me for the top country countdown. Here he is. How you doing, Lon?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man.
Good to see you.
Thanks for letting me be a part of the show.
What have you been doing lately?
Promoting this Starting Fires album that's coming out November 18th. Finally got it in there, man. All right at the top. Now we can talk about cool stuff.
Well,
for a
people
change.
just don't stop by. They generally have stuff there,
That's true, but
selling.
I don't have anything. I mean, I don't know. Besides this album that comes out November 18th, there's really
What was the name of that again?
Starting Fires. I mean, there's really nothing. I don't want to promote anything. I mean,
Is there a single we might know from that album?
I mean, if you want to sit here and talk about it, we can talk about it. It's called "She Wouldn't Be Gone." And this single that I'm talking about, if I'm correct, just happens to be the first single off of this new album that's coming out on November 18th called Starting Fires.
There you go. As we get along, we might even talk about Blake's new album. The name escapes me now, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, I'll remind you as we go along here.
And, of course, we'll talk about the number one hit, Home, as well, as we get along with Blake Shelton. Right now, though, we'll get things started at number 30. It's the latest from Darius Rucker, and it won't be like this for long.
It didn't have to wait.
Jack Ingram entering the countdown at number 28, That's a Man. I'm Lon Helton here this week with my co-host Blake Shelton. His current hit is called She Wouldn't Be Gone, still ahead in the top 20. But last time you were here, Home was just kind of going up the charts. And at the time we talked about how it was originally recorded by pop singer Michael Bublé. And since then, of course, the song went on to become number one for you. Mm-hmm. That meant that your version of Home actually went higher on the charts than Michael Bublé's did.
Well, I tell you what, I had a call. I don't know if I told you this or not, but back this past summer, I was driving through Wisconsin on my way to do a show, and it was in the middle of the day, and my phone rang, and he said, "Blake, yeah, hey man, it's Bublé," and of course I almost dropped the phone. At that point, I didn't really know him that well. I only met him like once before,
right.
And he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "Man, let me just tell you something." I go, "What?" He goes, "Do you realize how high this song is, Home?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm living it every day. I know what it's doing." He goes, "Well, man," he goes, "this is great." He goes, "It never did that for me." I go, "I don't know if I believe that or not." And then you go back and research it, and it did go, quite a bit higher on one of those charts than his did.
Yeah.
And the guy can't lose. He wrote the song, so he was thrilled with it. And I tell you, I don't know who was more excited about it, he or myself, because for one thing, I never thought that I would ever have success with a pop song, and he certainly never probably thought he would have success as a country songwriter. And it worked out great for both of us. It kind of got our feet in different areas that we probably thought we'd never be able to explore.
Another summer.
With Blake, and we've been talking about Home, but Miranda Lambert was in here as our co-host a few weeks after you were, I think, and maybe it was even after that song was number one. And we talked earlier about how you weren't originally convinced this song was right for you, and I had asked Miranda if there was this "I told you so" moment, and this is what she had to say. Do you ever say the words "I told you so"?
Yeah, I didn't have to. He just knew. Just the
Yeah,
look
but
in my eye.
still.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just a number one song. I mean, you can hear it one time and go, that should be a number one.
Absolutely.
And it was.
I'm not sure who was happier, you or him.
I don't know. I think I'm more happy than he
You
was.
might have been a little more relieved too that it actually worked. Otherwise, you might not have paid attention.
I couldn't have done the old elbow nudge.
She, I can promise you one thing.
Yeah.
I was happier about it than she was about any.
sure.
I was way happier than anybody that thing was number one. But when we were talking about going in and recording it, the song would not have been the same. It would not have had the same sound without Miranda's vocals on the track with me. And people don't realize that's Miranda singing all the high parts there with me. She's the only other voice on the record with me, and that's another reason that particular track means so much to me.
Well, hang on to that for just a second, because I do want to come back and talk actually a whole lot more about Miranda Lambert, and we will do that as we get along with my Countdown co-host Blake Shelton. Right now, though, it is back to the charts. It's Christy Lee Cook at number 27, 15 Minutes of Shame. Moving up forward to number 26, Everything is Fine. I'm Lon Helton, and my Countdown co-host this week is Blake Shelton, whose current hit is called She Wouldn't Be Gone. Still ahead in the top 20, and that is the very first single from Blake's new CD called Startin' Fires, which is available now. Let's talk a little bit about the new music for folks who haven't heard this yet. How would you describe the music on the album?
Well, if you want to talk about this album that came out on November 18th called Startin' Fires,
Okay.
we're going to have to talk about me, because this album is very autobiographical, and the last album I put out was kind of autobiographical. It was more of a release for me. I was going through a divorce at the time that I made that Pure BS album, and I kind of dumped all my depression into my music at that time, and when I listen to that album I can hear it. But this new album, it's more of just kind of who I am as a person, and there's everything on here from songs about regret to songs about driving back roads and planting corn and burning brush piles and drinking beer, just everything people probably imagine about me. If they've ever wondered anything about me or assumed anything about me, they're probably right. And it's probably on this record. So I'm just kind of laying it out there. I think most people that are country music fans are familiar with who I am by now, and for the first time though, it's there on an album.
And of course, the album that we're talking about is Startin' Fires from my co-host Blake Shelton, which is available right now. We'll talk some more about that in just a little bit with Blake. Right now, though, it's back to the countdown. Here's the brand new song from Toby Keith. It's at number 25, God Love Her. Entering the countdown at number 25, God Love Her. I'm Lon Helton. My co-host this week is Blake Shelton, and we've been talking about the new CD, Startin' Fires, which is in store and available online right now. Let's talk some more about the music here. Just maybe just starting with how you went about picking the songs for this album.
Well, the first song that I had in the pile, besides the two that I'm a writer on, the very first song is She Wouldn't Be Gone. And that kind of set the watermark for the rest of the record, because we knew She Wouldn't Be Gone was special, and we hoped that we could make a great record on it. And so that kind of set the tone for everything else. It's like, all right, if he's gonna step it up a notch, then we really got to turn over every rock and make every call and that we can to find songs that are to this level, But once again, with the success of Home, I really just thought, I'm rolling the dice here, and I'm going to put out an album that in the holiday season, which is a tough thing to do if you're not one of those top 5 or 6 artists. I just really wanted to put myself in that category for one time and just see what we could do. And so if you go out and happen to be in Walmart and you see this new album called Startin' Fires that came out on November 18th, then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Feel free to just pick it up to hear what we're talking about. Anyway, along with my co-host Blake Shelton, we're going to head back to the countdown here, and we're at number 24 with Phil Vassar, and I Would. Last Call. My countdown co-host this week is Blake Shelton. We're talking about his new album, Startin' Fires, which is available now. And one of the songs that really stands out on this CD is the last one, Bearskin Rug, which of course you wrote with Miranda Lambert.
That's an interesting story. I have a fire pit behind my house, and whenever Miranda and I are home and we're there by ourselves, one of our favorite things to do is go light the fire and sit around there with our guitars and just play music all night. And this particular night, I played her this song that I'd started working on, and I told her, I said, man, this is really weird, and I don't know where it's going, but I'll play it for you. And as soon as I played her the first verse and what I had of the chorus, she ran into the house and got a pad, and she wrote the second verse from the girl's point of view. And then we ended up finishing the song, and it was a duet. And we get so much pressure as artists that are a couple to record duets and tour, and I mean everybody just expects that we didn't want to just record a duet just because of that. So we decided, if we record this song, the only way we're going to do it is to just have one microphone in front of me playing guitar and a microphone in front of our voices, and just record it live. Very one cool. Take, and so you hear it like that. I mean, we recorded it exactly like it sounded when we wrote the song. Or you can hear the fire in the background, you can hear the crickets, and it's just a one-take deal, and it's raw, and parts of it are out of tune, but it's just what it is. It's me and Miranda sitting around the campfire playing the song we just wrote.
It really is neat. And I need to want to come back and talk some more about Miranda in just a little bit, and we'll do that with our co-host Blake Shelton. Right now, though, back to the countdown. It's Jake Owen at 22. Don't Think I Can't Love You. Ashton Shepherd up a couple to number 21. That sounds so good. Blake Shelton's in here as my co-host, and you wanted to talk about Ashton?
I tell you what, Ashton Shepherd is a pretty amazing talent. And I've gotten to know her a little bit just because her and Miranda are buddies, and I've played a couple of shows with Ashton. The last one we did together was about a month or so back in Atlanta, Georgia. We were on a show with Alan Jackson, and she had 4 or 5 songs that she had written that she was insistent that I needed to record, and then proceeded to tell me a story about how she had just flown first class for the first time and didn't know what to do with the hot rag they handed her. And I really don't know what to do with those things either. I just kind of tell them to keep it. And she said, I put it on my face and wipe my hands off, and I just had a good time with that warm rag. And that's her, man. I mean,
she's country.
Oh, she makes me feel like an absolute city slicker, buddy, I tell you.
But, just a really, really good writer.
And a great singer, too. I mean, nobody sounds like her, and that's the thing that's cool about her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And of course, the lady that we're talking about is Ashton Shepherd, who's at number 21 of the countdown with Sound So Good. As Blake Shelton and I head back to the charts here, we move on to number 20. It's Trace Adkins and Muddy Water. Co-host this week is Blake Shelton, and through the course of the show, we've talked about Miranda Lambert. I think all of your fans know that you guys have been dating for a while, and we've talked about her. And I think last time you were here, we talked just a little bit about the idea of dating a woman who's had songs like Kerosene and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Gunpowder and Lead. But
you feel my pain, don't you?
Oh, man. And then my sister-in-law lives in Florence, South Carolina, and sent me a magazine that has Miranda on it. But I didn't even know that there was a magazine called Garden and Gun, which is very scary, by the way, to, a guy like me. But have you seen this one?
I have. I saw that. I was walking through the airport somewhere, I think in Dallas, and I happened to be looking for a magazine. What the? Garden and Gun? What is that? What is she doing? And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of a redneck / green. I
can't figure out what the target audience of Garden.
I don't know either.
These are very interesting people that have gardens and guns. And one of the questions, Marshall Chapman was the interview, and I need, if I can find it real quick, she says to her, as they sit down for the interview, she says to Miranda, so are you packing heat?
Whatever it is, that they made me proud. They put my girlfriend on the cover, so I bought a copy of it and read it, and I was laughing the whole time, just thinking, man, okay, this is for people that like to shoot things and grow corn, I guess. It's actually, now that I say it that way, it's right up my alley. I love that song.
I was going to say, you should be a subscriber. Yeah. And just to answer the question, she says, no, not today. I felt like I didn't need to bring it.
You talk about her packing heat. It's so funny. We'll be, getting off the bus and hopping in one of our cars, and I can't tell you how many times that, she'll yell from inside the car, hey, grab my gun. It's in the, it's in that cabinet in there. It's like, what? Your gun? No, I'm not bringing your gun. Yes, get it.
County Road 233.
Randy Hauser moving up 3 to number 17 with Anything Goes. I'm Lon Helton. My co-host this week is Blake Shelton, and we now come to your song in the countdown, She Wouldn't Be Gone, which of course is the very first single from your brand new CD, Startin' Fires. It's available now. So I'm just kind of curious, what was it about this song that made you want to come with it first?
Well, once people identify a certain type of song or sound to you, it's hard to ever break free of that. I just got to a spot there with Home being the success that it was, that I thought, man, if there's ever a chance to turn the corner and try some things, it's right now. And so when I heard She Wouldn't Be Gone, it fit that mold, and it might be the only song in town that would have been that perfect transition. It just happened to be that lyrically it comes from a place where, most of our classic country songs are about a guy with a broken heart, or, he's depressed and he's drinking and he's sad, and this is a song about a guy who's brokenhearted and he's depressed, but he knows there's a slight chance that he could get her back if he could find her. And so the whole song is full of this energy and desperation of this guy trying to find this girl and make it right with her. And it's just such a unique song that I just knew that, okay, we've got our first move here. The rest of this album is going to be centered around this one song.
And of course, the one song that we're talking about is at number 16 this week from my co-host Blake Shelton, She Wouldn't Be Gone. I'm Lon Helton, and we're counting down the hits this week with Blake Shelton. And up next at number 14 is a guy that I know you wanted to talk about, Dierks Bentley.
He and Miranda are pretty good buddies.
I know, she mentioned him in the
and
Garden and Gun article.
I know, and she didn't mention me, which got me wondering. But they have this relationship to where, they toured together, and he gave her this gun at the end of the tour. It's this old Colt 45, just like her logo that she has tattooed on her arm. He actually got her one of those guns and gave it to her as an end of the tour present.
Wow.
And so she decided that when his baby is born, so she's getting the baby a new bow. So she got the baby a new bow and arrow. It's like, you realize it's going to be like a teenager before it'll be able to pull this bow back. But that's the kind of relationship that Miranda and Dierks have. It's trade. They buy each other weapons. I don't know. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, I might stay out of that relationship. Yeah. That's funny. Anyway, it is on the guy that we've been talking about, Dierks Bentley at number 14, Feel That Fire. To number 14, Feel That Fire. I'm Lon Helton, sitting across from Blake Shelton, who's in the co-host chair this week. And up next at 13 is the latest from Lady Antebellum, who you said you want to talk about, and I'm just kind of curious how you know them.
I've known the Lady Antebellum crew for a while now. Hillary is the new one for me, but now Charles and Dave, we know each other pretty good. And in fact,
from what?
We had this idea. I met him at the end of last year. And so he's always ideas. He's an idea guy, and he's, man, I just don't see why don't you and me write a song? I mean, why don't you and me and Dave, the three of us, why don't you and me and Miranda and Hillary, all five of us get together and write a song? I said, yeah, that's right. And I said, here's one I can do it. And he said, well, I can too. What about you, David? And so this past, I think May or June, Charles and David and me and Miranda, and Hillary was the only one that couldn't be there. The four of us ended up at my house in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. They flew in to Dallas, and me and Miranda drove down, picked them up. They stayed at my house for 2 days, and that's all we did was we just wrote songs and drank beer. I mean, it was the coolest. It was one of those things that you talk about that you never ever get together and do, and we really did it. And I think we ended up writing 5 songs in those 2 days. And it was just a really cool experience for all of us, And I tell you that's a talented bunch. And, it's not a fluke, and it's not an industry trick that they're having so much success. I mean, they're the real deal.
Alan Jackson up 3 to number 12, Country Boy. I'm Lon Helton. Blake Shelton's in the co-host chair this week. And as we're coming up to number 11 here, you mentioned you wanted to say something about Jamie Johnson.
Country music to me right now, it's a really exciting time because there's this group of brand new artists that all have their own separate identity, and thank God that Nashville is is giving these new kids a shot, you know, from Lady Antebellum to Ashton. I mean, they couldn't be more different. Nobody's chasing each other. They're all just honest songwriters that can sing, and they're giving this artist thing a shot. And to me, that's, you know, when some of these type of artists make it, like Jamie Johnson.
Well, if there's anybody that's not from a mold,
it's Jamie Johnson. There's no doubt. But when that happens, it's good. It's good for the whole industry, because he's a guy that can turn a corner, and the whole industry benefits from it, I think.
Oh, yeah, and the guy we're talking about is Jamie Johnson, who's next at number 11 in color.
I said, Grandpa wants this.
Morgan is up one, number 10. That's Love Remembers. Blake Shelton's along as our co-host this week, and Craig was just in here a few weeks ago. He, as you might expect, had a whole lot to say about you.
I love Blake Shelton. He is my buddy, and he's finally got rid of his mullet. You know, he's cleaned his act up a little bit. Yeah, he's looking more. His hair's more and more like mine every day. Now I'm gonna have to change mine again because he's trying to go my way. You know, it's like he does it all the time.
I thought it was kind of cool, though, that we talked about International Harvester earlier, that the video actually begins at a Blake Shelton concert.
Yeah, we're kind of poking at him a little bit. He does it to me, so I do it every chance I get.
Did you tell him in advance that you were going to do that?
Oh, no. He called me and left me this great, horribly obnoxious message talking, I can't believe it, you know. And
what was that all about?
Well, first of all, I got to address the first thing he said, which is, I don't know that I've ever been delivered worse news than that soundbite when Craig said that my hair is starting to look like his. I mean, that's a horrible thing to say to anybody. And secondly, the billboard thing, I'm sitting there minding my own. I mean, there's nothing worse than when somebody pulls a prank on you on national television, and it's a video, and that gets aired over and over and over again. And so I'm sitting there minding my own business, and I look up, and Craig Morgan video comes on, and I go, did I just see what I think? I mean, nobody told me this was going to happen. Nobody said, hey, can we use your name? Or Craig going, hey, man, just so you know. I mean, I found out that he had my name on that marquee and covered it up by tuning in to, watch videos one day. So,
that's great. I just think that's the best part of the joke, is that nobody told you. It's like you had to see it.
I'm glad you get a kick out of it.
I did. I thought that was pretty good.
You know he wears a hairpiece, don't you? Say it. Say it.
It's too short.
I'm the son of a third generation.
Paisley and Keith Urban up one, and number 8, that's Start a Band. I'm Lon Helton, and my co-host this week is Blake Shelton, and we've been talking through the show just about your friends in the top 30, but there's one guy who I want to talk about who actually doesn't have a song in the countdown this week, and actually when he was in here as a co-host, he did have a story about you, and I'm talking about Keith Anderson.
We were traveling on the airport one day, and there was a sound system that somebody had used, and there was some live music. It was in the middle of nowhere, little bitty, and he walks up and says, hey, you care if I do something? Stands up right there, the guitar and the microphone right there in the airport, and starts singing some Tracy Byrd,
Yeah. Hey, I remember that day, and I do remember walking in there, and there had been some party or something the night before that they used that room for, and it's hard for a country singer to walk by an amp. It's got a cord hanging out of it that's plugged in, and so it's funny because I think if I remember correctly, all the guys, including Keith, were pretty hung over from the night before, so I cranked it to about 10 and hit the big G chord there out of tune, and just to drive them all crazy. I love Keith Anderson. He probably doesn't have a bigger fan in this industry than me, and every time something good happens for him, I'm always happy for him, and he's a fellow Okie, so we pull for each other.
Yeah, and of course the guy we're talking about is Keith Anderson, who had a hit earlier in the year with I Still Miss You. As Blake Shelton and I head back to this week's chart, we're at number 7 now with Rascal Flatts and Here.
There's a place.
The hits here this week with Blake Shelton, and the last time you were here, you were telling us that you and Miranda were just about to go out on the road together, and since then you've actually been out on the road together doing some shows. How's that been working out?
Man, it's going way better than I think everybody involved thought it would, because we didn't really have a clue what kind of turnout there would be, and it's really a big step to make from playing bars and casinos and fairs and stuff to go, okay, I feel like my career's at a point where I'm just going to roll into a city and rent the arena and just put people show up and buy tickets, and Miranda and I, our careers are about at the same level now, and we decided we was going to co-headline this tour and come up with a unique show like nobody else has ever done before in country. And I think we've played 7 shows now so far, and I think only one of them wasn't sold out.
That's got to be great, though. It has to be just, it's something you wanted to do, and it's working out, and it's got to be fun. And I mean, most people go on the road to, to leave behind whoever is at home. So
well, it's probably something that won't last that much longer. We may go through the spring, and we may not. Right now the last show of the tour that we have booked is in Green Bay for New Year's Eve, and that may be the end of it. We don't know yet. We're just thrilled to know that we tried it and it worked, and it kind of solidifies where we thought we ranked in the business.
And if you're in Green Bay, sounds like a pretty good way to spend New Year's Eve.
Yeah, if you can tunnel through the snow, come on out.
Well, as people ponder that image for a second, we're going to head back to the countdown here with our co-host Blake Shelton, and we're at number 4 with Tim McGraw and Let It Go. The Zac Brown Band once again at number 2 with Chicken Fried. Blake Shelton's in the co-host chair this week, and of course the year is about to wrap up here. Not a whole lot on the calendar. You got the new album out, so of course you're doing a bunch of this kind of stuff. And I know you got a show in Tampa on December 8th as part of the ACC football championship. But you don't have a dog in that hunt, do you?
No, I don't, and which is great to be able to go to a game and not have my blood pressure going through my head. So, yeah, we try to, unless it's something that's really a big deal, like that particular championship game. I try to take as much of the fall off of touring as I can. I mean, that's my time to kind of recharge and
isn't that hunting season too?
Exactly. That's time for me to be out there taking out my frustrations on the year on some of those critters walking around out there.
Well, I was just thinking that the critters, as you refer to them, should be pretty safe this year because you shouldn't have many frustrations to take out. You've had a really good year.
Yeah, but you just read the article there where Miranda didn't mention me. She mentioned all the other dudes in country music, and it just takes something little like that
to set you off.
Right. My temper is just out of control.
And I think it's time to hurry up and get on to the number 1 song in the USA so you can kind of regain your composure here. The song belongs to Taylor Swift, Love Story. And there they are, the top 30 country hits in the USA as compiled by Country Air Check. My co-host has been Blake Shelton, and I know you're kind of wrapping things up here. You got the new album in stores and all that kind of stuff. We'll say that again in a minute, but you got just a handful of dates left this year.
Yeah, I'm done for the year except for the championship game December 6th down in
ACC, right?
The ACC, that's right. Mm-hmm. We're going to go play. We're happy to go do that. And then, of course, New Year's Eve, Miranda and I will be up there in Green Bay.
New CD, as we mentioned, is called Startin' Fires, feature the current hit, She Wouldn't Be Gone. It's in stores right now. The best luck with that. Always good to see you.
Thank you, buddy.
Country Countdown USA.